The Huron-Wendat community of Wendake, a stone's throw from Quebec City, has seen sunnier days. They're mourning the recent alleged murder of brothers, aged 2 and 5. Their names are protected by a publication ban. A suspect was charged with second-degree murder and is due back in court in November.
The more we're trying to explain, the less we had words. We were not ready for that, and no one is ready for that. You're not ready for these kinds of wake-up calls.
In an open letter, the suspect's mother explained he suffers from mental illness. He sought help, but didn't get it. Siwi says the children's mother reached out to youth protection several times before their deaths and not once received assistance.
She cried out loud, the DPG, she asked for help, she requested help. Was she answered?
Siwi's community is trying to cope, holding a healing march in tribute to the children now known as Wendake's Little Angels. The Quebec government is promising an inquiry to find out what went wrong, but it's a familiar situation. Quebec also announced an inquiry in 2019 after a 7-year-old child died in Granby, east of Montreal. Her stepmother was charged with second-degree murder. A complaint made to youth protection went ignored. This week, Quebec announced that report, dubbed the Laurent Commission, will be delayed until 2021. But since the inquiry began, complaints to youth protection have shot up 12%. That means more than 300 complaints are received every day. And while less than 3% of Quebec's children are Indigenous, they make up 15% of the children currently in foster care.
J'ai carrément perdu ma langue, perdu ma culture, le fait de qui j'étais.
Xavier Mouchoum was one of them. Using Mouchoum's story as example, in 2016, the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal ordered compensation for all child welfare survivors. Canada is contesting the ruling. They introduced Bill C-92 in response. As of January 2020, it gave First Nations the right to create their own youth protection systems. But Quebec is pushing back.
This is the only province in Canada who are in court, trying to say that the federal government did not have the right to pass a law that it falls into a provincial jurisdictions and so on and on.
The Viens Commission inquiry report makes more than 20 recommendations to overhaul the current child welfare system, saying for years it's been imposed on Indigenous peoples from the outside. But taking back control is an uphill battle. Quebec requires extensive proof that First Nation systems are more effective than the province's youth protection. It took the Atikamekw Nation nearly 20 years to line up resources before signing a deal with the province in 2018.
Il m'apparaît important de souligner qu'il s'agit de la toute première nation autochtone à avoir entrepris des négociations dans ce sens au Québec.
Even then, only 2 of their communities are covered by the agreement. The priority, keep Indigenous kids in Indigenous foster homes, a concern all over Quebec. One woman from Wahat Makmaniutanam in the Côte-Nord went to Facebook asking for help when she found out youth protection wanted her grandchildren. In Innu, she explains how police entered her home, grabbing for them while they tried to hide under the kitchen table. The community came out in droves to stop the apprehension from happening. In the end, another resident offered to take the children in, preventing them from being separated and sent to towns 200, 300, and 1,700 kilometers away, respectively. Meanwhile, back in Wendake, Siwi says no amount of analysis by Quebec can comfort the grieving mother.
I spoke to her father, and so the grandfather, and he said, "My daughter, she's not able to even to walk almost. She's sleeping. She's in bed. So could you imagine, the pain and the sorrow?" And how such an event could not only break a family, a community, a nation, and many more people also. It's not a question of First Nations, it's a question of human beings. We're all human beings.
A first report looking into the Wendake deaths is expected before Christmas, but improvements to the system were expected yesterday. Lindsay Richardson, APTN National News, Wendake, Quebec.